All right, welcome all beings from Earth. I'm your host, Mello, and you're listening to Unknown Realities, a podcast and audience interactive experience where things are stranger than fiction and reality becomes a mystery. In today's episode, I'll discuss a hometown legend of the 1966 UFO incident in Edinburg, Texas. 8 construction workers hired to dig up gravel claim they saw a saucer type craft scorch and burn the surrounding area on their job site. What did the construction workers see that night? And was it an actual UFO? Stand by to find out. If you enjoy what I do and want to support the channel, please like the video or leave your opinion in the comments section. And you can also follow the channel on YouTube, Twitch, and Discord to enjoy more episodes like this. Quick disclaimer, all episodes are for entertainment purposes only. With that said, step forward into the portal and enjoy the show. All right. All right, guys. So this episode is pretty unique because it happened locally in my home city. The weird thing is that I didn't know about it only until recently. But the local UFO annual conference in Edinburg covers this story a lot, so it's widely known amongst the locals. If you have ever experienced or have a local legend in your area, let me know in the comments section and I might do an episode about it. Okay, so let's just get right into it and get started. So the Edinburg, Texas 1966 UFO incident. Around midnight in the fall of 1966, a sheriff dispatcher for Hidalgo County named George Rapp answered a disturbing phone call from an anonymous caller. The caller wanted to report a group of men yelling for help on Farm to Market Highway 490, 4 miles north of Edinburg, Texas. So George, having a sense of urgency, decides to call J.R. Milo Ponce, a deputy sheriff with Hidalgo County. He explains to Milo that a local bystander commuting along the highway noticed 8 men screaming in panic for help as if something terrible had happened. Deputy Ponce, puzzled by the situation, asked if this was just a prank call or a serious matter. According to the dispatcher, George, the men sounded terrified and claimed to need assistance for an emergency fire. So now that Sheriff Milo is informed of the details, he decides to get dressed and head out towards the call. So that's pretty interesting, and I would probably be like Sheriff Milo over here, thinking, yeah, you're just prank calling me around midnight. I don't really want to hear anything like that right now. It's just kind of it's funny. All right, so moving forward, he drove off to a suspected ranch site 4 miles west of Highway 281, owned by a man named Samuel Gonzalez. As he arrived on site, what he saw next was not what he would have guessed. Deputy Milo describes a quarter-mile burned area inside the ranch near the contract workers' website. Job site, not website. All right, so I'm going to go to the next screen. I have a screenshot here showing you just about the suspected ranch location, and it has labels explaining kind of what was going on in that situation, right? So if you look up to the top, you see the highway of Market 490, and that is where that bystander, the motorist, saw these men screaming frantically for help, right? So a little lower than that, near where you see the label Galicia Pit, that was the actual suspected area where the men were digging for gravel and working on that job site. And then a little bit below that, that is where there was a suspected fire from what we're going to get into here in a bit, right? And what caused that fire. Now, a little down to the right, you see that it has a label UFO lights, and we're going to cover that here in a little bit as well. So this is just to give you a small visualization and a basic understanding as far as where Officer Milo was at, where he reported, and where these men were at when they were frantically panicking for help alongside the highway. Okay, so continuing on. All 8 construction workers told Deputy Ponce the same story in frantic panic. These men, whose identities are unknown, were your stereotypical blue-collar, roughneck types who seemed tough. Yet they were so that even one of the gentlemen urinated his pants. Man, I probably would do the same thing too if I saw a UFO. Oh man, especially that up close, right? And in those days in the 60s, man, I'd probably poop my pants. Okay, so no fooling around, keep going. We're going to keep going here. So Deputy Ponce decided to take the men to the sheriff's office to ask further questions and get an interview for a report, while also allowing them to spend the night. The men were ready to leave the next day and told Deputy Ponce they would never return to the Rio Grande Valley or the worksite ever again. What the workers told the deputy next seemed to be quite chilling, to say the least. They mentioned that strong winds suddenly arose from nowhere while digging gravel pits on the job site. It seemed a little unusual because it was such a calm night, and it just seemed a little unexpected. What really caught their attention even more was a mysterious loud humming sound. However, they couldn't make out at all where the sound was coming from. Then suddenly, as they look up, they noticed several bright lights shining in the sky. A giant UFO was right before them, shining brighter than the sun. Flames started shooting down from the craft, hovering right in front of them, and the surrounding area caught on fire, damaging their mobile home and their vehicles. Man, that's wild. Okay, so they're frantically panicking, right? They see this UFO, and all of a sudden, there's a bunch of fire raining down. I mean, what would you guys do if you saw something like that? I know I wouldn't know how to handle that situation. So for these guys, you know, being those roughneck types, I don't blame them. That's some wild stuff. Okay, so moving forward. Strangely, when firefighters eventually arrived on the scene, most of the flames had died out already. A fire that did that much damage and went out that fast seemed a little off. Considering these men's claims about seeing a UFO, everyone thought it was particularly odd. The construction workers mentioned that they had seen strange lights in that area on different occasions before the night of the incident. They didn't think much of it and figured it was a local helicopter or airplane because Morse Air Force military base was pretty close by, so it wasn't unusual to see flight operations in that area around midnight, which that kind of makes sense. I would have rolled that out too if I saw something strange at first. And I want to point out that's a little strange that there was a major Air Force base nearby in the surrounding area that this incident was occurring. And the funny thing is, later on, I'm going to touch on the subject and explain a little bit more as far as if Moore Air Base had something to do with it or not. So we're going to move forward here and continue. Now, Deputy Ponce decided to get statements from the locals nearby to see if anyone else was aware of the incident as well. A local named Manito lived near the area close to the job site. He said he's also seen strange lights and even a cigar shaped object that particular night. The lights are known locally as La Luz de Llano, which translates to the light in the fields. According to Joe Ponce, Deputy Milo Ponce's son, the area has been known for the strange phenomenon regarding the lights. As for the construction workers, they left the next day and were never seen again after giving their testimonies. There's no evidence or knowledge about their identities, who they were, and where they went after the incident. Man, I would want to get away too and disappear happily if that happened to me. So I don't blame those workers at all, man. All right, so we're going to continue on here. Now, this is the part where it gets a little interesting, right? And you're going to see why in a bit. A couple of days later, a nearby sheriff named E. Bickers in the town of Donna, Texas, had a conversation with Deputy Milo Ponce. He told Ponce that two men approached him in military uniforms requesting to see the report about the incident. Sheriff Vickers assumed the men came from Moore Air Base because it was 6 miles southwest, close to where the incident occurred. What didn't make sense was that the Air Force Base had been closed in 1961 and was no longer operational at the time of the incident. Now, that's throwing a huge red flag right there, right? It's a huge clue. This encounter seems similar to the mysterious men in black that visit individuals after reported sightings to keep things secret. Whoever they were and whatever happened that night remains a mystery. No one has spoken about what has happened since then. Damn, dude. So it makes me think about the legends of the MIB. Are they actually real? And did these sheriffs actually, well, Sheriff Vickers particularly, have a visit from the MIB? Because, like I had just explained, the Moore Air Base, of course, it is close and nearby, but it was not operational anymore. It closed down in 1961, it says. So it it's kind of bringing the rumors to light about the MIB, and maybe they even might have existed, right? And not only did they exist, but they were possibly in the area of the Rio Grande Valley because of that incident in Edinburg, Texas. Now, if that may or may not justify this occurrence even more, it's giving it a little more weight, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Okay, so I'm going to move forward right here to the conclusion. So, years later, Milo's son, Joe Ponce, returns home from the army in 1972. Curious, he revisited where his father had pointed out the location. He said the area near the gravel pits was still burned exactly where the incident occurred. Even though there are no records of the report or proof of the testimonies of those 8 men, there's still noticeable burn marks on the land which remind locals of what happened that very night. Man, so, and if you look at this picture right here, I'm going to show you a clip next, right, of the Valley Channel 5 news story that actually covered this particular incident. But that picture is showing a rock that is still black. There's surrounding rocks and gravel around on that ranch site. And what they're trying to explain is that the rocks are actually still charred from the fire caused by that unidentified flying object. So that's one of those rocks that they had picked up to show the black char left behind. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring up that news clip from the Channel 5 in the Rio Grande Valley, and they covered a story regarding this incident. So I'm going to bring that up for you guys so that you can get a little bit more details from the local news and how they reported this. All right, just 1 second. Let me go ahead and share my screen to get this up for you guys. Okay, I'm going to play it real quick, and then so you can get that grasp on this story a little bit better.
Do you believe in visitors from space and unidentified flying objects? Well, the annual UFO festival just closed in Edinburg, and some say the valley had its own incident back in 1966. Rick Diaz takes us there in today's Con Gente.
It's the perfect night. The location is just north of Edinburg.
In 1966, there was a strange incident that happened right here.
Believers and non believers have gathered at the site to see for themselves and listen to the stories.
Where 8 construction workers from the Dallas area suddenly saw this beam of light or fire come down out of the sky. And it totally destroyed their construction site. It burned to a crisp their pickup trucks, their construction machinery.
Noé Torres of McAllen is considered a UFO expert and has written several books on the subject. For Joe Ponce, it was his father who brought him here in 1966.
So he was a deputy sheriff. He was the one that came out here to investigate. It was the following day that I came out here with my dad, and I saw what had happened, what had taken place.
He was 18 and the burnt area was big, he says, and it was all in this location.
I'm a skeptic, but what I saw, I saw.
The site is on Highway 490. The old Moore Air Base is still 8 to 10 miles down the road.
And many years later, we're still finding little pieces of metal that we think were related to what happened that night.
We can still find some of the debris from the mobile home that was incinerated by the UFO that, according to the story that the men saw.
The Edinburg Library sponsored the Out of This World event, and there is always a big crowd.
Most definitely. It's one of our bigger festivals and one that attracts people from all over.
We're waiting for one to come tonight.
No, there's something definitely out there.
Not too far from here. I've seen hovering lights and different things going on. But
I believe that we're not alone, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of ignorant to think we're the only thing in this universe.
51 years ago, and this was the site. Could we have had a visit?
And then we also have rocks, like this one, that show signs of being, totally blackened. This is an unexplained incident that happened here in Edinburg back in 1966.
Do you believe? For Channel 5 News, I'm Rick Diaz.
Oops, sorry about that. So I was kind of looking at the stream. Hopefully the video wasn't too laggy. I'll fix that here in the future. I'm really not sure what's going on with that. But the local news did cover that story. And as you can see, right, they showed you the rocks still charred and black from possibly that fire that started that night by UFO. I mean, who knows, right? But and it's compelling me to actually go about 20, 30 minutes from where I live and scope it out a bit. I mean, pretty or anything, but I just want to see the particular area where it was about, and possibly, I don't know, maybe there's things and clues outside of the property that support the occurrence. Who knows? But yeah, man, that was I really enjoyed doing this episode only because it was a local legend. And even though there's a huge UFO community in my area, they hold conferences near the city hall and they get together and they share like legitimate scientific information along with some fictional stuff as well, right? But this isn't like, not everybody in my area knows about this story, which is kind of intriguing because tying back to like the Sheriff Vickers when he got visited by the MIB, the fact that there's no actual record from the sheriff's department with Milo, right? And the statements he took, the interviews he had with those 8 men, it makes you wonder if the MIB had actually taken everything that they had filed because of that visit. I don't know, right? One can only speculate. But it's also kind of strange that it seemed to be a staple and very known back in the day, but now there's just no trace of it. And then the MIB intervention. I mean, the thing that kind of brought up thought provoking ideas with it was that more airfield base, it was literally 6 miles where the incident was. So, and this is for entertainment purposes only. But if I had to guess, makes you wonder how many military bases there's strange phenomenon going just literally right outside the perimeter of those bases. So I don't know. I can only speculate so much, but I can't really refute the fact that there was still charred rocks and burnt debris surrounding that site area that was suspected. So it really kind of makes you wonder, like, did those men really experience something that night, or was it something else? It could have been something else. Maybe they created arson and didn't want to admit it, right? And somehow a UFO story was kind of convenient. Who knows? Who really knows? But I want to believe the legend. Definitely would rather believe the legend. It's a lot more. That's the story on the 1966 Edinburg, Texas UFO incident. We're gonna take a quick 2 minute break, and when we come back, I'll be calls from the audience about your experience. Stand by, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back from the 2 minute break. And let's get started here next with Portal Talk, where you, the audience, can share your opinion or experience related to the topic. No cameras are allowed, and please keep it family friendly. The link to join will be provided in the chat and in the stream's caption as well. If there's an issue with the link, let me know in the chat and I'll fix it as soon as possible. Now, if there are no callers within 10 to 15 minutes, kind of estimated roughly, I'll close the portal to take us home and sign out. That being said, come on up. The portal is open. All right. So as we wait for callers and if anybody joins, I'm going to see if I can read some comments, if there's any coming up. Now, I do have the link in that comment section. So if you click it, it'll just bring you into the live and you'll join the stream. And I would have to just give you permission to come on in and, be unmuted and such. But while I wait for callers, man, this is the second episode, and I really, really liked this particular topic. I know I've kind of been redundant a little bit because you know what I mean. I did an episode. The first episode was over the TR3B Black Manta, and I know it's UFO related. And then now we have this episode about UFOs. But I promise you guys, coming up here in the next couple of episodes, I have way different topics coming up. I got stuff anywhere from paranormal up to cryptids and even something, what it's still related with UFOs, but it has something to deal a little bit more about cults. Now that right there, that episode is going to be something for the books. And I think you guys are actually going to fairly enjoy that one. But as far as the topic that I discussed today, man, the crazy thing is that, well, I haven't seen what I think is a particular UFO in my area. But I will say the other night, man, it kind of tripped me out a little bit because it was just so unexpected, and I don't really know what the reason was. I don't know if there was something going on, but I was outside in my backyard, and sometimes I like to go and look at the moon and the stars, just kind of reflect, right? Because, the night sky seems a little relaxing. It gets your mind right. So here I am just chilling out in my backyard, and I look up, and there's a lot of, mind you, I live close to the border, so there is a lot of flight operations in this area. And I know for a fact that with all the stuff going on, right, we have a lot of military personnel coming in and out. Now the thing that freaked me out more was that I saw a helicopter flying pretty far away, but still circling around the perimeter of my neighborhood. And out of nowhere, I saw a spotlight hit my neighbor's tree. And I'm assuming it came from this freaking helicopter or whatever it was. But the thing is, I've never seen an actual helicopter that's in travel like that start putting spotlights into neighborhood or even the houses around. So that just kind of tripped me out, particularly because I've been seeing a lot of videos where UFOs kind of disguise themselves as either regular planes or helicopters. I mean, even allegedly, even such things as clouds. And people have reported UFOs looking like freaking clouds in the sky, traveling kind of cloaked in a sense, all octopus style. But I don't know, man. That freaked me out the other night because it was so unexpected. I'm just gonna assume like a realistic possibility. Maybe they were looking for somebody, or maybe there was something going on right in my area, and it seems a little normal. Cops go and put their spotlights around the neighborhood to be able to see better, see if anybody's hiding, whoever they're looking for. I understand that, right? So I kind of want to give it a more realistic approach and understand that point, knowing that that's probably what they were doing. But then I don't know, man. Wouldn't it be something if if it was an actual UFO disguised as a helicopter. That would be nuts. And the fact that there's people or there's actual sightings out there that claim to have seen them regular helicopters, it kind of supports my possible experience. But then again, I don't know. I want to think about this. It just didn't make any sense to me personally. You know what I'm saying? So that was just something that happened a little recent. Let me look back into the chat real quick. Okay. And also, I am going live on both YouTube and Twitch. So if I don't see or hear anybody on the Twitch side of things, just give me some time a little bit, right? I need to figure out this whole multi-streaming thing. But man, the next episode's coming up. I can't. I'm actually gonna for these next episodes. I'm actually going to go to the physical locations and take actual videos, not sharing the screen or anything, but take actual videos. That way it can be a little bit more immersed and you have a little bit more of a picture with these next stories coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and just play a little bit of music for about another 5 minutes. And if nobody decides to come on up and want to speak or give their opinion, maybe have an experience, then we'll go ahead and close the portal out. All right, guys. All right, so it looks like we're not going to get any callers today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it on up. The portal is now closed and we're going home. Click the like button and subscribe to enjoy more episodes like this. Thanks for tuning into Unknown Realities, where things are stranger than fiction and reality becomes a mystery. This is your host, Mello, securing the portal and signing out. Good night.